everybody. Excited to be here today. We've got Emme here from our partner Aventus. Emme's an account executive there, and we're going to be chatting about rethinking outsourced CX and a new era for BPOs. Emme, how are you today?
Doing good. Excited to be with you guys. Thank you for the invitation and excited to chat about CX today.
Yeah, us too. Well, tell me a little about you and a little bit about Aventus before we kind of kick into the questions.
Absolutely. So my name's Emmy. I'm an account executive here at Aventus. I have been with Aventus. It'll be 2 years coming up here in May, and it has been such an exciting journey. My day-to-day includes meeting with brands and kind of understanding what they're looking for in CX partners and understanding the trends and where the customer experience is kind of evolving modern day. In terms of Aventus, we've been around for it'll be 11 years this
Oh,
summer. Yeah, so definitely a long time.
yeah,
We have some members of our team that's been with us since day one, so it's been really exciting to kind of hop along the journey. And we provide outsourced customer support for e-commerce brands. Some clients that we're working with include HexClad, Burt's Baby, and Dude White's name a few, where our kind of main goals are streamlining their customer support. And one of our back end goals is turning customer support into a revenue channel.
I love that. And I love that we share HexClad. They're a great client of customers as well.
Yeah.
I think that segues really nicely into, I mean, just even like what we want to be chatting about today, but really thinking about how Aventus is redefining sort of that traditional BPO model for today's companies, right? Obviously, the
Absolutely.
market's evolved, brands have evolved. So maybe talk a little bit about how you guys are doing that for growth companies today.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great starting point because even if I think about Aventus's growth, we've had many different models that have evolved with where the customer experience model has kind of evolved. So at our very beginning, we were your traditional kind of brick and mortar BPO. We had locations in the US, we moved outside of the US, and then within the past 5 years, right before COVID, we pivoted to a remote model. So present day, we're providing outsourced dedicated customer support agents. And that kind of progression of Aventus has been in alignment with where the customer experience journey has evolved. I mean, I think what's top of mind for all of us is AI and how that's playing a role in the customer experience with modern day buyers. Overall, our motto at Aventus is when our clients succeed, we succeed. So we're always focused on kind of peeling back the layers, understanding what a brand is looking for in an outsourced partner. When I was kind of preparing for our webinar today, I was thinking that we should really change outsourced and come up with a different name because it kind of creates a connotation that, the outsourced team is disconnected from the in-house team, which,
Yeah.
as we all know, couldn't be further from what we're trying to drive. And I feel like present day, the outsourced customer experience team and the in-house customer support team is really a feedback loop where your customers have a unique opportunity to communicate directly with somebody from the brand. Now, present day, there's, more opportunities to do that. You have retail locations, social media is a great opportunity, but
Yeah.
typically with customer support, customers are reaching out with a problem and needing help. So it's even more crucial to solve that problem, but it's such an opportunity to go above and beyond. And again, really just meeting the expectations of customers that are evolving every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. One of the sessions we did earlier, we were talking a little bit about just like the touch points in different places where you can interact with your customer, especially when you're selling, like maybe through another retailer and maybe you don't know the person. So that
Yep.
interaction is so different, right? So I love thinking about that. Like there's a lot of different ways that you're getting in touch with your customers. And so kind of making sure that you're thinking about that and your approach to supporting them is really important.
Absolutely.
I guess on that, sort of what trends are you seeing in how brands are approaching outsourced versus in-house? Like you touched on it a little bit, right? But like, what are the trends right now that we're seeing and how are you guys supporting that?
Yeah, I would say a large trend that I'm seeing is having kind of a complementary model focused on meeting customers where you're at, like you were just saying. And what is the foundation to that is the brand tone. and
Yeah.
making sure that that is really shining through with whether you have only an outsourced team, only an in-house team, maybe both. I
Yeah.
think kind of a secret weapon maybe is not the best word, but a way to say it is kind of having an in-house team as well as an outsourced team,
Yeah.
because you're really just driving both teams to succeed. Healthy competition is great, and the person that benefits is the brand and the customers as a result. So
Yeah.
I've definitely seen a lot of brands operate in that kind of complementary model. But the core of that is the brand tone. What is the brand tone you're trying to portray, and making sure that the partner that you're working with to do that is going to carry that through. And with that being said, a kind of keyword that I touched on there was partner. And I think as the customer experience landscape is evolving, brands aren't looking for an outsourced team. They're looking for a strategic partner to carry on that brand tone, meet customers where they're at, and solve their problems as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. How do you, so brand tone, I mean, obviously super important. You want it to feel super consistent and relevant and, all feel like it's all one, right? One company.
Right.
What are some of the things you guys do to help support the external team in keeping that brand consistency when you're supporting them?
I think the discovery process is crucial to creating that foundation that we're going to be building on long term, in terms of what is that tone that we're portraying, down to, you know, are we using emojis? How are we responding to customers? Understanding how, that brand wants us to respond to customers through the customer support channel, but is that in alignment with all their other channels? Is that in alignment with the tone they have on Amazon, to the tone they have on social media? And I find, kind of tying back to the trends, brands are looking to these outsourced partners, whether they're partners with them or not, to share these best practices. What's working with other clients? What are we seeing in on the roadmap for the customer experience that, maybe others aren't seeing? And how can we go above and beyond? I mean, speaking of Amazon, I always like to say, now with customer support, we're kind of going up against the Amazon experience, where customers can go online. If their package was stolen, they can get a replacement within 24 hours. If they want to return a product, there's a good chance they don't even have to ship it back.
Yeah.
So I think understanding what the brand's goals are as it relates to that tone, and being able to seamlessly create that feedback loop and that connection between the two, is where brands are leaning on outsourced partners to achieve.
Yeah. Are you seeing an expectation shift with brands that are used to that like Amazon level experience, right? Like, is that changing the way they want to communicate with across all their channels?
I would say it definitely depends on what the channel mix is. Maybe, for example, dude wipes, as you can imagine, they're super Amazon heavy,
Yeah.
where other brands maybe operate just in the direct to consumer channel. I think both channels give the brand an opportunity to go above and beyond. I met with a brand the other day. It's a house of brands. They're on customer, and I had never heard of this like super unique initiative that they are implementing. It stuck out to me so much. I believe they called it like their Special Elves project,
Okay.
where they basically have like a prize toolbox, is kind of how it was described to me. Where if a customer shares they're maybe going through a hard time, the example that the brand gave to me was after the LA fires, they essentially have this prize box and freebies that they can give to customers, not necessarily their products though,
Okay.
whether it be a Visa gift card or something experiential.
Yeah.
So that was just something that stuck out to me, and is a great way that brands can really differentiate themselves, but have the opportunity to do that with modern day customer support.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like we were saying earlier, like really getting to know the customer when there's so many different ways they're interacting with you can be challenging, right? It's like, are they shopping with you on Amazon? Are they buying through Nordstrom? Are they buying direct on your website?
Right.
Are they in a store, right? And how does that experience feel consistent, cohesive, right? Like, I think is really, it can be a challenge, I'm sure, and something you guys are seeing
Yeah.
a lot with the brands you're working with.
Yeah, I think it can be overwhelming. I mean, even on the brand side, there's so many tools available to make the customer experience seamless and, deliver that tone you're looking to achieve,
Mhm.
and ensuring that you kind of everybody in the right seat and goals are clearly mapped out and communicated with all members of the team, I think is what's really differentiating brands
Yeah.
in terms of creating that wow experience that everybody's kind of looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, and this is probably a big one, and we could probably talk for a lot longer than we would have time on what role sort of technology plays, like AI or automation, in the CX delivery strategy. Like, how are you guys seeing that? I think one thing I've been thinking about a lot with AI is not even like, I think a lot of people think, how does it save you money, right? But it's also like, how
Hmm.
does what experience is it creating? And is that truly a better experience? Or how do we
Absolutely.
couple that with the personal experience that a human being can give you? So would love to just hear how you guys are thinking about technology, AI, automation, and how that's working alongside your teams.
Yeah. At Aventus, we're extremely AI first, where our goal is to ensure that the brands that we're working with are essentially kind of taking advantage of the tech stack that they have.
Yeah.
With that comes AI. There's a tons of different, types of AI, and I think that's a learning curve as brands continue to implement AI. But
Yeah.
I think what comes as a result of implementing AI is because we have so many different AI tools out there currently, that experience is different from brand to brand, which kind of creates that question mark in the mind of the consumer. A great AI agent experience is going to stand out to that customer and they're not going to be turned off by AI. And then a super negative experience could, allow that customer to say, I never want to speak to an AI agent again. So I think as AI is so new to the customer experience and as it's transparently shared with customers that, we are using AI agents for the betterment of you because it allows our human agents to focus on more complex tasks. I think again, kind of just tying back to that brand tone, creating that seamless experience or whatever tone and experience you're trying to deliver is key. And with that being said, I think AI on the kind of outsourced point of view allows us to create tiers of service and really make sure that we not only have the right agent in the right seat, but that customer is being connected to the right agent. Um, Creating tiers of service, allowing AI to handle those where's my order tickets allows an in-house team or an outsourced team to focus on those high lifetime value customers, to really place a focus on subscription retention, to reach out to customers, and pick up the phone and call them. Maybe we're dealing with a tech product that has a hard setup process,
Yeah.
picking up the phone and calling those customers and letting them know we're here for you, or, that in real time feedback loop expanding into the phone channel is a trend that we're seeing a lot here at Aventus. A lot of our customers now want to implement phone to give their customers an option to, reach out if you want to chat, if you have specific questions, if you're super anti AI. So overall, to answer your question, I would say it's very beneficial to implement AI. I think all brands are going to join the bandwagon one day for the betterment of their customers because we can continue to think outside the box and create these wow experiences and meet customers where we're at, which is the ultimate goal of the CX team.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me the voice thing's interesting and makes me think there, we have some brands, right, that we work with where, the demographic of who their buyer is different. And maybe if it's an
Absolutely.
older, demographic, they want to call in, right? They don't want to text or they don't want to chat. They want to talk to you or they
Yep.
want to write really long emails and some of them get super personal. And there's a brand I have in mind,
Yeah.
I won't say their name, but they would get like these crazy long emails, right? And it's like they're sharing so much personal information about themselves and
Right.
their actions. And so I think it really is like it's got to be to each his own a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you finding still brand, I think, we're hearing this still too, that brands are anxious about implementing AI and like, know they should be. And obviously everyone's talking about it and there's so much value, especially in CX. But are
Yeah.
you guys seeing that sort of anxiety around it too?
Absolutely. And I think that anxiety is rooted in the unknown. 2 years ago, AI wasn't a huge player in the customer experience landscape. Maybe everybody was using AI internally to streamline operations and things like that, but it's not like we had a high level of AI agents that we have today.
Yeah.
So I definitely think I've seen a ton of brands that are anxious about implementing it, but overall, the only advice that comes to mind is you don't know unless you try. I think AI is so reactive to an extent. What I mean by that is it's always learning, so you
Yeah.
can always adapt. So, try something, it doesn't work out. It's not a big lift to make it work out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think even, you're seeing teams themselves have anxiety, like maybe a support rep is nervous about it. And in my mind, you touched
Yeah,
on it a lot, but you're thinking about, well, this just allows for those more complex conversations and problems to
exactly.
solve to be tackled by you, and you don't have to deal with the like one-off, what's your return policy, or these are really easy questions that now AI can
Yeah.
handle, that frees up time to really support those larger and get more, I think, spoke with how you support an individual too, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and there's so many ways that you can gradually lean into AI. You don't need to implement AI agent right out of the gate. There's AI that supports your human agents. And once you kind of learn that, then implementing AI agent is a really successful implementation route that I've seen with some brands to kind of dip their toes in the water without diving in headfirst.
Yeah, absolutely. What is some advice that you would give a startup? So maybe moving a little bit away from the AI piece, but just generally like a startup who's choosing their first outsourced support partner.
I would look for somebody that is has that similar kind of partnership values. You're not a customer, you're not a number on our books. We're
Yeah.
an extension of the team. I think extension of the team is absolutely crucial. Envision you were hiring these agents internally. You were hiring this team internally because at Aventus, you're not just getting an agent, you're getting plenty of other support teams that encompass the full customer experience and what comes with that escalations, additional education, workforce planning. Peak
Yeah.
times is something that we all have to keep in mind. So I think finding that strategic partner, somebody that has all the same core values as the brand internally, is crucial to ensure a long-term partnership. I think the onboarding process and kind of creating the foundation of the partnership is also crucial to success long term.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And I love that thinking. Um, well, I guess on that note, is there any like last sort of piece of advice you would leave our listeners with, or like any sort of last tidbit to end our session?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing that comes to mind is kind of related to AI, and I would say just be open to learning and what is on the horizon. I would say that same theme to responding to customers and creating those wow experience. At the end of the day, the customer support channel is that feedback loop with your customers. Listen to it.
Yeah.
Listen to what customers are saying, implement that not only throughout the customer service department, but throughout the brand internally. I think we can all agree that the customer support channel is overlooked in many ways. I think that's
Yeah.
changing as
Yeah.
time goes on, but lean into the customers because they're leaning into you. We wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and even when we started and you chat a little bit on like thinking about it as a revenue channel, like I've been thinking, I feel like, and talking a lot with partners and brands about like this idea of proactive support and not thinking about it as a cost center, right? And there's so many different things
Absolutely.
even AI enables, but partners like you enable to help brands actually do that and not think of it as like, oh, we're just solving problems, but there's so much more we're doing, right? That experience is so important at the end of the day for your customers. So
Absolutely. I think proactive support is the theme that we're going to be seeing as AI continues to be leveraged more. And with that comes not just, post-purchase dealing with customers that are upset about certain things, it's pre-purchase as well.
Yeah.
meeting customers where they're at, answering questions, being proactive with that experience is, again, what's going to create that wow experience and keep customers coming back to you over your competitors, over other channels. And great customer experiences speak volumes. I mean, word of mouth is crucial as AI continues to play a role in social media and having that human touch with human agents, but also that word of mouth, I think is what's coming up.
Yeah. Love it. I feel like I could add more, but I love ending there. I think that's a great way to end. And yeah, well, thank you, Emmy. We're so happy to have you guys here. And thank you, everyone, for listening in. We hope this was valuable, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Likewise.